All right, guys, we are talking Arizona Elk Draw 2024, specifically focusing on Unit 3. So, Unit 3 in Arizona is broken up into three different subsections: Unit 3A, 3B, and 3C. Within those subsections as well, 3A and 3C are linked together in the draws, where 3B is left on its own. And 3A, 3C, as well as 3B, have quite the reputation of producing very, very big bulls. The reason being is if you look at the southern boundary of Unit 3, you have the White Mountain Apache Indian Reservation. And within that, they have some giant bulls that come out of the White Mountain Apache Indian Reservation. So keep in mind that border is the southern border. And what really makes Unit 3 special is the rut. And you'll see that based on the draw odds, given the fact that it takes a ton of points to draw an early archery tag. We're looking 22, 23 plus points. For non-resident and resident alike, guys, it takes a lot of points to draw 3A, 3C. 3B, same thing. They offer early archery tags there. It takes a lot of points, so 17, 18 plus points. I'm going to throw up the data for the draw odds that were given last year so you guys can see it. But it is a big time rut based draw odds type hunt. And that is because of the reservation to the south. Because a lot of people will look at that and then they'll look like, wow, 3A, 3C has a ton of big bulls. Let me try to draw that late rifle hunt or that muzzleloader hunt in 3B that happens a little later on in the fall, because they see the draw odds are really, really good compared to that early archery or early muzzleloader or early rifle hunt. And the reason being is because those big bulls will come off the reservation, rut up north in 3A, 3C, and 3B, and then they will return to the reservation for total safety because they don't get hunted in the winter. It's pretty much just a rut hunt down in the reservation as well. So that's why, guys, if you have questions about Unit 3A, 3C, or 3B, why the draw odds are there's such a drastic difference between the early and late versus, like, say, Unit 1 I talked about last video, where you look at the early archery odds in Unit 1 versus the late rifle odds. There's not that much of a disparity. It takes 20 something points, 22 points or whatever to draw as a non-resident as early archery. And then a late rifle tag, it still takes 17, 18 points to draw. So there's not that much difference, where in Unit 3A, 3C, you can draw a rifle tag sub 10 points. You can draw 3B, same thing, sub 10 points as a non-resident. You can draw a muzzleloader tag, a late muzzleloader tag. So that's just a little bit of how that unit works and why the draw odds are different, just so you guys understand. But let's talk a little bit about 3A, 3C, and 3B. So starting with 3A, 3C, guys, some of the literally the biggest bulls in the state have been taken out of 3A, 3C during early archery season. It is a unit that they don't give a ton of tags out, but it is a unit that, man, if you draw that tag early archery season, I'd gear up for a 350 type bull. I wouldn't pull the trigger on anything too much smaller than that right off the bat. Obviously, we all know hunting, and we know that the 380 bull looming in the trees may never give you a shot, where a 340 bull that gives you a 30-yard broadside shot, you might want to take it, or you're going to go home with tag soup. So we know the hunting aspect of it, but these hunts are 14 days long. And so, spend that first part of that hunt really chasing trophy bulls, if that's what you're into, where, at the end of the second half of the hunt, you kind of give yourself a little bit of room, where you're like, hey, if I see a good bull that gives me an opportunity, I'll pull the trigger, or in this case, release the arrow, because we're talking about that rut hunt, 3A, 3C. So a fantastic unit to hunt. It is wooded, pretty wooded. There's not a ton of glassing. You're looking at ponderosa pines. 3A is pretty much ponderosa pines, and a mix of junipers, where the northern half, 3A, 3C combo, the northern is a lot of state land and those rolling junipers. So glassing can be pretty difficult. You're pretty much relying on bugles, finding the herds, and the big thing in Arizona, which determines all of animal activity, is water. So in this early archery hunt, guys, you got to focus on the water in 3A, 3C, and 3B. Focus on where the water is. Find out where these bulls are watering. Find out where these cows and these bulls are pushing these herds, because they will need water. When they're chasing doing their rutting activities, it definitely require more water. So focus on that. Trail cameras are not legal, so do not plan to bring a trail camera out into the elk woods and throw it up on a tree. You cannot use that to assist you in harvesting game, which in the past has been a huge benefit to hunters to get their early scouting in. So you're going to have to do it on foot. You're going to have to do it based on what you see, reading sign at water holes, and doing just some ground research. I mean, driving around, doing a little bit of glassing. When I say there's not really any big glassing, that means you're not going to sit on a knob and look for hundreds of miles of real estate to try to find these elk. So it just means that you've got to move around a lot more to do some glassing and find out where these elk are. So that being said, a lot of cover. You're going to basically hunt these guys based on watering habits and their the elk bugle. So early archery hunting in 3A, 3B, 3C is really rut-based, chasing bugles, hunting water, not a ton of long-range pursuits, not a ton of glassing big country, but expect high trophy quality. And, I get asked about 3B. There's a muzzleloader hunt in 3B. Good draw odds for residents and non-residents, sub 10 points. It can be hit or miss. I'm a huge muzzleloader advocate. I love hunting muzzleloader elk. There's several hunts in Arizona that are fantastic muzzleloader hunts for elk that don't require a ton of points, and connected to that do have good trophy potential. 3B is one of those hunts that is definitely hit or miss. So it can be a fantastic hunt one year and be just a average hunt the next year. So if you do draw that hunt, really do some research based on precipitation and talking to some people that are on the ground there, and determine if that's something that you want to do. Because in all these hunts, guys, you should really buy point guard. With 20 points on the line or 25 points or whatever it is that you're drawing a unit 3 tag, even if it's 10 points in a 3B late muzzleloader hunt, buy point guard, and that way you can kind of determine if it's a good year for that hunt or not. So that's my 2 cents on 3A, 3B, and 3C. It is it's similar to Unit 9 in the trophy potential is really, really good, but it is an early hunt for that. These elk do not live in Unit 3A, 3C, or 3B. These big bulls, I should say, do not live there year-round. Unlike Unit 1, unlike 27, and yes, in Unit 1 and 27, which border the White Mountain Apache Reservation, yes, bulls do cross over back and forth, but you have a resident bull population that actually live there year-round, which makes that late rifle hunt so much more valuable than, say, a Unit 9 or 3A, 3C late rifle hunt, which these bulls are just not living there. And I don't want to discourage you if you drew that tag, because there are chances on big bulls, but it's not your expectations. And so that's what I'm trying to help you out with, guys, is understanding expectations and terrain. 3A, 3B, and 3C are extremely accessible, great places to camp. Like I said, a lot of ponderosa pines, thick pine trees, and then rolling juniper forests to the north. But really accessible, totally beautiful, lots of water. So if you do draw these tags, they're fantastic units for trophy bulls, and also just having a great time elk hunting. So I hope this info helps, guys. I hope the maps and the draw odds help a little bit. Good luck. We're coming at you with another video trying to give some light on Unit 4, and we'll talk to you guys soon.